host of the Gridiron.
So this is where here we got the Giants, right? This talks about the Giants to see about $30 million disappear. Now this is on their quite possibly bringing in a quarterback. Okay. Now, according to this article I'm going to read, the Giants have about 30 million or so left in salary cap space, but that doesn't include that. They have to get some room, right? Which possibly tells you that they might wind up doing some stuff with some of these contracts, like maybe Sexy Dexy, Burns, Andrew Thomas, some of those guys' contracts, and freeing up some money, right? Because we still going to need probably about $10 million or so for our draft class, right? So the Giants don't have a ton of money left, but one of them is Giants are about to see 30 million in cap space disappear. So, but the 30 million is what they're talking about here. Is they quite possibly they bring in a quarterback. Giants are walking a financial tightrope as they prepare to bring in a new quarterback with approximately 30.3 million in available cap space for 2025, and a hefty 89.7 million projected in 2026. Not bad. Of about $90 million next season. Yes. So, next season we could probably bring in at least another one or two really nice free agents, like what we did this year with a Holland and an Adebo, right? 2 plug-and-play players, right? Starters, boom. Probably do the same thing next year. But we need to get our quarterback situation under control. But, we can go out, we can get in, maybe bring in a wide receiver, another really good wide. If we get our quarterback, we'll get another wide receiver. If we need a good offensive lineman, we can go out in the market and get a good offensive lineman, maybe to shore up the offensive line. Like if Van Roten doesn't come back, well, if we want to go out to the guard market and get the top of the line guard, if there's one that's available, we can go out and get that. So between this year and next year, between the draft this year, the draft next year, and the free agency and all, we should be pretty good. As far as our starters, we should be pretty good. Let's see. They have some money to maneuver, but once they pull the trigger on a veteran quarterback signing, that cushion is going to shrink in a hurry. You got that right. Smart spending so far. The Giants have already been active in free agency, securing key acquisitions like Paulson, Adebo, and Javon, Holland to bolster their secondary. They structured these deals wisely, keeping the early cap hit manageable while backloading more significant figures into 2026 when their financial flexibility is at its peak. Now, basically what it is with those, I think with those two guys, I haven't looked at all of them, but I think those two guys, because those cap hits are big, Adebo and Holland. This year's cap hit is obviously lower. Then in next season, in 2026, their cap hit goes way up. And then in 2027, it comes down. So a lot of the money is pushed to 2026. Right? So obviously, the reason why we're able to afford those guys this year, we still have some money left over, is because their cap hits this year are manageable. The strategy gives them the ability to build a competitive roster in the short term without mortgaging their future. It also puts them in an ideal position if they draft a quarterback, allowing them to carry an expensive veteran for the time being while preparing for a long-term transition. The quarterback cap crunch. The $30.3 million of remaining cap space is about to take a major hit, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. The Giants will likely have to shell out about $30 million or more annually to land a veteran signal caller. On top of that, they still need to allocate roughly $10 million for their upcoming draft class, further tightening their financial situation. With only about $20 million left after those commitments, they also have to keep around $10 million in reserve for the in-season expenses. You always want about $10 million or so. Yeah, for the season, because with the Giants, you got injuries. Guaranteed. Now, why a 2-year deal makes sense for bringing in a quarterback, right? Given the financial outlook, the Giants are better off signing a quarterback to a 2-year contract rather than kicking the can down the road with void years. Like that's what the Eagles do. That's why the Eagles can bring in all these good players, because they keep kicking the can down the road. That's all the Eagles do. A short-term deal would allow them to keep the cap hit manageable in 2025 while maintaining the player for a second season when they have significantly more flexibility. If they opt for a longer deal with heavy backloading, they risk bloating future cap hits, which could complicate roster building if they need to pivot. The ideal scenario is signing a veteran to bridge the gap for a rookie quarterback, keeping 2025's expense under control while setting up for a bigger move in 2026. The Giants are playing the long game with their financial decision, but once they lock in their quarterback, they'll be working with a razor-thin margin. Absolutely. I mean, if they bring in, right? If they bring in James Winston, I'm not exactly sure. Let's see here. Where are we at here? Okay, let's see here. Let's see what this is. This is what all PFF. That's all I'm going by here. Let's see here. Tools. Let's go draft class. Yeah, not draft class. Free agents. 2025? No, draft. Where aren't you go free agents here? Okay. Let's see now. Position. Okay. Quarterback. Let's see what they think Jameis Winston might wind up getting. Wow. 2 years, $6.25 million average. I mean, annually. $7 million guaranteed, $12.5 million total. So if the Giants, if right, they brought it according to PFF. That's all I'm going by. PFF thinks that Jameis Winston might get a 2-year deal, around $6 to $6.5 million per season. $7 million guaranteed. 2 years, $7 million. So I mean, that would be like nothing. So we brought, if we had $30 million, we brought in Jameis Winston for like $6 or $7 million. We'd still have $20, $25 million in money. I mean, that would be, So we could sign our draft class. We'd still have money left over for the season and all of that. And then we drafted a quarterback, right? So we can have Jameis Winston for 2 seasons, right? And if we drafted Shador, or if we have Cam Ward, right? We'd have our quarterback on the cheap for 5 seasons. And that way you can really start building a roster around him, especially next season, right? The thing is that, you bring in a high-priced quarterback this season, like Rodgers or Wilson, that $89 million we have next season is going to take a hit. So it is what it is. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Still very, very interesting. And the thing is, it's not like, because we need 2 quarterbacks, right? So it's interesting now in free agency, but then it's also going to be interesting to see in the draft what the Giants wind up doing as far as drafting a quarterback.